As a wave of terror continues in Israel, it seems the end is nowhere near. But is that really the case? We have a special visitor in the studio today. Yaakov Peri is a former head of the Shin Bet, and he currently serves as a member of the Knesset for the Yesh Atid party. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, Natasha. Thank you for having us.
So, it seems that Israel has been losing the war against terror in this recent wave of violence that we're seeing. Is it fair to say that?
No, I don't think it's fair to say. We have witnessed waves of terror since 1967 and before that as well. And it's a wave, a continuous wave, which there is a real problem to stop it or to manage it. Mainly because of the fact that there are lone wolves. And in the case of a lone wolf, you cannot gather intelligence and forecast when a terrorist act is going to be executed. So youngsters, men and women, are deciding in the morning to stab or to run over or to shoot a Jew, an Israeli, a policeman, a civilian, a guy who protects a mall or something, and they are executing it after a couple of minutes, a couple of hours. Now, the awareness of citizens and the policemen and the army is really something incredible. But in order to stop it, you have to change the environment.
That's what I want to ask you. How do you suggest combating this trend of lone wolf attacks?
Well, you have to change the environment, and I don't want to go too deep into political issues. But in order to stop just such a wave, you have to create an environment of hope, environment of something which is going to be built in the future. Because the reasons of this wave, the main reason was the dispute around the Mount Temple. But the main issues are incitement, despair, frustration. And in order to stop it, you have to change the environment. In order to change the environment, the government has to initiate.
Well, that's one of the big questions that we see here, because, right now, Herzog says that a two-state solution is not a viable option right now. And obviously, that's been a rhetoric that we've been hearing from the current government coalition. So how do you change that environment if that's the mentality that exists right now?
Mr. Herzog didn't say that you cannot do a deal. He said it's not the right moment now. And no doubt that we have a difficult and a problematic partner. I'm not going to advocate the Palestinians because, it's a real problem. But Israel is the strongest and the most capable country in this area. And we have to initiate some steps. It can be bilateral steps, it can be unilateral steps, and to change the way that people are thinking, which there is a dead end or a deadlock. You have to open hope. You have to open some vision towards the future. And it doesn't matter what kind of political solution we will get. But the fact that Israel is totally criticized by the international arena, international world. I just came back from a visit to the European Union in Brussels and Hague. And you cannot imagine, even good friends and allies of Israel are criticizing the fact that we are peace refusals, that we are not initiating anything, and we are they are considering a conqueror. And it doesn't matter if you are a liberal conqueror or a tougher one. So we have to take it into consideration, and there is no other alternative. If you look at it from the demographical point of view, if you look at it from the political point of view, if you will look at it from the international acceptance point of view, we have to initiate something, and that's the only way to stop such waves of terror.
So you spoke about this international convention that you went to abroad that was focused on the BDS movement and its effects on the world. How is Israel planning to combat BDS? And in your opinion, what do you think is the best way to do that?
Well, BDS is not one organization. BDS is a movement. BDS is an atmosphere. And it's due to the countries to decide if they are adopting embargoes or BDA steps or not. Now, the fact that there are too many or so many Palestinian communities, mainly in Europe, affects even a local supermarket or a local university or a culture event. And in order to fight it, in order to minimize it, Israel has to unite forces. Nowadays, the fight against BDS is divided between 4 or 5 ministries. It's the Foreign Ministry, it's the Mr. Ardan's, the Internal Security Ministry, etc. And you have to put it in one hand with one budget and one task force. Even if we will do it, it will not stop the environment, it will not stop the movement of BDS, but we can minimize it.
So there needs to be an essential large organization that's bringing all these people together to fight as one force.
What I'm calling a task force.
Right.
They've devoted to this issue and they devoted to the fight against it. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the average citizen who wants to get involved in combating the BDS movement, what is your suggestion? How can they get involved?
As for individuals, I mean, the fact that, we have to say the truth. The European Union, by getting this decision or resolution, is a hypocritic one. Because let's take, for example, the Golan Heights. Even if Israel would decide today that we are getting out from the Golan Heights, to whom are we going to give it? There is no Syria. The Arab world is divided, struggles in a struggle against the radical Islam. So there is an hypocrisy in the European Union resolution. And we, every one of us, as individual, when he goes abroad, when he talks to foreigners, when he has a chance to talk in the media, has to at least give some examples, because the Israeli-Palestinian dispute is not the only dispute in the world. It's one of the disputes. And the European Union didn't give any resolution about Sudan or about Sri Lanka or about other places where there are still big disputes, and it's all aimed against us. So some of us are calling it anti-Semitism, which is true, but it's not the main issue. And some are saying, look, it's always to blame the Jews or to blame the Israelis, which is also right, but it's not the whole story. We have to fight everyone in his own means against such movements and against such criticism. And at the end, it sums to a better effect.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure.